Hi, guys. It's Sven from Badass Counseling. So we created the Badass Counseling group on Facebook, and it grew to well over 45,000 members. And we kept getting asked by folks for a support group, a growth group that's more intimate, gives more access to me, Sven, if possible. So the Badass Counseling team got together, and they created Community Plus. For a monthly fee that isn't cheap, you get direct access to me 2 times a month where you can submit your questions directly. Monthly drawings for a small group counseling session with me. Monthly drawings for one-on-one counseling sessions with me. Priority Pass access to go to the front of the waiting list for ongoing counseling with me. Priority Pass access to be considered to be counseled by me on the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Direct access to my top 2 selling video courses, Healing the Soul and Unleashing Your Greatness. Interviews with people who've had success in their soul journey, some well-known and some everyday folks like you and me. And a fantastic opportunity to meet and get to know other men and women who take their healing and growth seriously and who do the work. And a social community feed where folks share their challenges, their struggles, and their triumph. And so much more. So go now to badasscounseling.com. Click on the Community Plus sign-up page for premium content and direct access to me and to like-minded people who are committed to healing, growth, and creating a community of support and happiness.
From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
All right. Hello. You have reached the Badass Counseling Show podcast. This is a live taping of our lightning round. We are coming to you from the New York City area, and the snow is on the ground. Our hearts are warm, and we are toasty inside. Have a bit of hot chocolate here, and we are ready to go. Ready for your questions. I am joined in studio by KC over in the booth, and Rob the Rocket next to me. Rob, what say ye today?
You know, we're recording this for our audio podcast, but those of us who are watching us live to feed us the questions, they would know that you have standing, as they say in the legal business.
Yes. We have changed our studio a little bit to get me back to standing. When I first started doing these lives back before I was even, they had come to me and approached about creating a podcast. I was actually doing these out in the woods. As you've seen my videos on TikTok and Facebook and all that. And I was doing the actual lives out in the woods. And it was fun. And I was standing up and I was, probably had some caffeine in me or whatever. And so I'm back to my natural habitat, not in the woods, but I am standing up. And it feels good. You just have that energy going. So I think we're ready to go, Rob. I've got a question right away here from Jess on TikTok. She says 33 female, 34 male. How to keep your relationship alive after 20 years. That means you guys have been together since ages 13 and 14. And you want to know how to keep the relationship alive, which implies the relationship is dying or struggling or dormant. And what I'm going to tell you is that the way you keep the relationship alive or breathe life back into it has nothing to do with the relationship itself. Your problem is not your relationship. Your problem is inside the 2 individuals. As you may or may not know, when I counsel couples, I do not bring the couple together. Your problem in any relationship where there are problems is not the relationship. Furthermore, as a therapist, the last fucking thing I want to do is sit in the middle of 2 people arguing and bickering about a relationship. It just turns into a flying shit show, and it ain't fun. And nobody wins that, and parsing that out when you have no real history with the couple is garbage. So I take the 2 individuals separately, and I help each of them become their own authentic, individual, strongest self, and then make the decision if they want to be together. Now, we're creating a relationship based on 2 people who have become authentic. The problem in your relationship here, you say you've been together 20 years, and you're only in your early 30s, which is really kind of cool, kind of beautiful. I respect that. It's not the relationship. It's that neither of you is fully living your authentic individual selves. Each of you has to go into your own self and say, what part of me am I not being? And how much of my life am I living that is not a reflection of who I really am? And this is what all my work is about, especially my books. There's a Hole in My Love Cup, this podcast. It's about going inside and saying, what are the voices, what are the messages from my past that are still possessing me, still consuming me, that I'm still answering to, that are not mine? People I'm still trying to please. People I'm still afraid of saying no to, or sort of pushing their voice out of my head. And actually beginning to hear my own voice and live authentically, because the more you live authentically, you are naturally happier, you are naturally more alive. And two individuals who are naturally more alive in their individual selves are naturally breathing life into that relationship. So what has to happen to breathe life into the relationship is you yourself. You can't control what your partner does, but you yourself going into your own self, beginning to identify the voices and the messages and the expectations and the fears inside of you that are not you, that don't give you life, don't give you energy, inspire you. And begin to have the courage to get those out or push those back bit by bit and begin to listen to more and more your own authentic voice. That alone will transform you. And that one transformation will begin to have ripple effects on every single relationship in your life. And it will force your partner to change, either pulling away or beginning to change themselves. And that's the goal. Two individuals becoming their most authentic self. Now you've got a real fucking relationship working here, because so much of what you're operating on at ages 33 and 34, having been together 20 years, is you are still operating fundamentally to a large degree on a social contract that you drafted when you were children. And I guarantee you that social contract no longer works because you've done so much changing. I mean, hell, I'm 58. If I were to look at who I was 20 years ago at 38, oh my God, I'm a totally different fucking person. And for me, I've had to continue to change and evolve. And my relationships with any people that I'm in, friends, family, lovers, whatever, have had to change and evolve as I have changed and evolved, and as the people that I am in relationship with have changed and evolved. All right, next question. All right. Here we go. This one is from Dwayne Way over on Facebook. Dwayne says, my girlfriend says she loves me, but acts emotionally unavailable and does not reciprocate feelings. First of all, Dwayne, I'm sorry to hear that. And that sucks. And second of all, I want to say how refreshing. A man that actually enjoys having an emotionally connected relationship. They do exist. And just for the record, people, they exist far more than you might guess. So, Dwayne, I think that's fantastic. Fundamentally, what it requires is you have to begin the process of retraining her. And to the degree that she will be retrained, I'll get to that in a second. You have to stand up for what you need, making those emotional connections with her, having those conversations that you want to have with her, and encouraging her and saying, listen, and opening up. Listen, I want to hear about what you have to say. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings on that? And if she shuts down, and if she continues to shut down, which you obviously already have a long pattern of, and she doesn't want to reciprocate, in a way, you can keep trying to do that, or you can realize you have a pattern of behavior already. And I think what you're probably already realizing is that you can keep doing that as I'm prescribing, but in a way, what I'm really saying is you probably already know the answer to your question. And the answer is you're in a relationship with someone who is not giving you what you know you need in order to have a fulfilling relationship. And that is significant emotional connection, which means what you really need to be doing in your own work on yourself, Dwayne, is you need to be going into your own thoughts, fears, feelings, and begin or continue your journaling work of flushing out all your feelings about the fact that you are in this relationship that is unfulfilling. And it may be fulfilling in other ways, but it is certainly emotionally unfulfilling, and you want the relationship with someone that is more emotionally connected and fulfilling. And then you're going to be faced with sort of the come to Jesus decision. Holy shit, do I want to stay with somebody that I really like in certain ways, but there's this massive thing that is not there. And then you may have to choose, and I think you're probably already at that point where I need to walk away from this. But then what that means is in future relationships, and you're going to have them in future relationships, you need to begin to nip that shit in the bud sooner. And see, this is a really interesting question. When did you know, Dwayne? When did you know? How early did you know? And I'd bet dollars to donuts that you knew within probably the first few weeks or the first few months that this was someone who's not opening up emotionally. Either that or she was and she shut down. Then you've got to ask yourself, when did she stop being that person that I enjoyed? And if you can isolate the when, then you can isolate the what. Oh, she stopped 5 years ago. Well, why 5 years ago? Why not 7? Why not 2? And then you can isolate what that event was. And then you can begin to have that conversation with her. What was it about that event that caused you to shut down? Can we talk about that? Can we unpack that? Defuse that emotional charge from that memory. And perhaps that will open her back up again. All right, next question. That was actually a good one. Rob's got one over on YouTube. Go ahead, Rob.
Yes, Sven, Rising Cake on YouTube says, just a quick question. How can I repair a relationship with someone who isn't willing to admit the mistakes they've made? How do I cope with that if they aren't willing to admit their wrongs? And before you answer thinking it might be a partner, it's in relation to parents, not significant others.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you have a parent who doesn't want to admit the things that they've done wrong and the things they've done to hurt you. Am I hearing correctly, Rob? And that is one of the biggest challenges in life. And so many people saying, oh, everybody cutting off their parents. It's this pandemic and, it's crazy and kids need to quit fucking around and they need to compromise and they need to understand their parents did their best and blah, 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 blah. I say just the opposite. Parents need to be responsible and own their shit. I mean, come on. To the parents, do you act that way towards your boss? Not own your fucking problems? Do you act that way towards your customers? Do you act that way towards your own parents or towards your friends? Do you just blow it off when you've hurt them or fucked them over? Probably not. Why? Because those people would tell you to fuck off and they'd fire you from the company or they'd drop you as a vendor or as someone they do business with. So why are you owning your problems in certain relationships, but not in your relationships with your own children? And if you want to heal relationships, you got to own your shit, but you're not the parent, you're the kid asking this question. And as the adult in this situation, the adult child in this situation, you have to ask yourself, why am I still wanting this from my parent? Why am I still wanting them to own the pain they've caused me? Well, that's a legitimate thing to want. Nothing wrong with it. But what it implies is that they still have power over you. Anytime someone has something that I want, they have the power to make me miserable by withholding it. And what you're still wanting is you're wanting them to own the pain they've caused so that we can have connection. So that we can be connected and have that parent-child relationship so that they will then accept me, approve of me, see me as good, so that I'll finally get that sense of value, worth that they likely never gave to me back when I was 2 or 4 or 8 or 12. So I need them to apologize for what they've done. See my value now, want me now, so to confirm my worth, because then I can see my worth. Then I can begin to live my life as my authentic self. Then I can stop trying to please others as a way to confirm my worth. Then I can finally have peace inside. Then I can begin to finally live as my authentic self in the world. So you're putting so much power into the hands of your parents, and you believe that in order for you to have peace and a sense of purpose and a sense of authentic self, that you need your parent to own the pain they've caused, and you don't need that. You think you do, but you don't actually need it. What you need is the ability, the courage to walk away knowing you'll never get that. They're never going to get it. They're never going to give that. They're never going to give that. You can keep the relationship with your parent, not keep it. I don't really give a shit what your relationship with your parent is. But you wanting something from them that you now have decades of proof that they are never going to give, you wanting something from them, it means that they have the power to destroy your life. And you are destroyed because you don't have a sense of worth. So you are fundamentally waiting. And I have clients in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, still waiting for their parent, serving their parent, or still waiting for a dead parent to confirm their worth so that they can finally begin to be happy, finally begin to feel they have a sense of worth in life. And it's often the child who was neglected most as a child or scorned most as a child that ends up taking care of them most in old age, hoping that today you will see that I'm good, hoping that today you will undo the pain that you caused me back then. They've never been allowed, the adult child has never felt happy in life, never felt a sense of worth because they've been waiting for the parent to today own the pain they've caused me, see my reality, see my value, accept me. You're giving all that power to your parent. Versus at some point you say, no, I see that I am good. You were wrong. You taught a child that the child was bad. And that's bullshit. That's literally impossible for a child to be intrinsically bad. You taught a child a lie. What kind of horseshit parenting is that? You fucked up. You did a bad thing, and that's not okay. And I have immense strong feelings against you for that. And I have every right to get all those feelings out. Now, you can still keep loving the parent. I don't really give a shit. But the bottom line is you have to acknowledge your own value. And by holding on, waiting for them to confirm your value, you are denying your own value. You're saying only mom and dad have the capacity to truly confirm my worth. All right, next question. Here we go. This is a good one. Mama J on TikTok says, how can I stop avoiding repressed anger I have from my childhood against my mother? How can I stop avoiding it? Well, welcome it. Go in, journal, or grab pen and paper and start writing mom a letter. Start writing mom a letter. That's it. Write her a letter that you do not send. Know in advance you are not going to send it to her. And start writing everything. I'm so mad at you. I hate you so much. Or I have so much rage because you did this, this, and this. I just wanted a mom. I didn't want to be your best friend, or I didn't want to whatever. I wanted you to see me. I didn't want you to tell me that I didn't matter. Or I wanted to feel safe in my home. Why couldn't you have just been my mom? Why couldn't you have just loved me, et cetera, et cetera? All the things you wanted, all the things she wasn't, all your feelings. Start pouring it out. But I'm betting it makes you so uncomfortable that you run from it. The reason you're repressing it is because it's so scary. You fear it overwhelming you. You fear it taking over. You fear it never stopping. And at some point, your courage has to take over your fear. You have to have the courage to go into it and stay in it. And maybe you start in small doses, but you have to go in and stay in. Next question from Stacy Dawson over on Facebook. What's the best way to gain that value in yourself? Best way to gain value in yourself is to go inside of yourself and to begin to articulate all the things that are destroying your value in yourself. Biggest mistake people make in trying to get happy is they do more things that make them happy. Single biggest mistake people make in trying to get happy or find their worth is to do all these things that confirm their worth. Well, if you still have voices inside of you, messages inside of you denying your worth, detracting from your worth, undermining your worth, questioning your worth and your value and your goodness, it doesn't matter how much good you pour in because you still got a slew of shit in there. You've got these giant rocks inside of there. Have you guys ever seen on social media? I've seen it, and I want to vomit when it comes on. Every time it comes on, somebody's got like this clear like vase or mug, let's say clear glass, and they've got like dirty water in there. And they say, this is your spirit, this is your insides. You have crud from your past, and there's this dirty stuff inside of you. And you know what you got to do to become happy and to clear that out? You got to start pouring in good, baby. Just do more happy things and just pour it in. And they're pouring in this giant, like ewer. How often do you hear that word used in a sentence? And they start pouring in this giant ewer of clear water, of happy, of good, and then pouring. Well, guess what? It's diluting that dirty water, and they keep pouring, and eventually, guess what happens to that water, that stuff inside that clear glass that is you? It becomes clean, and you're cleansed inside. It's beautiful, but it's bullshit. You want to know why? Because real pain from a real past, from a real childhood where you were neglected, or where you were taught that you don't matter, or where you were taught that you aren't good enough, or where you were taught that you aren't wanted, or where you weren't safe in your home, or where you had a parent that it was more about them than it was about the children. Do you want to know what that is in a cup, in a clear cup, a clear, let's say a beer stein that's clear? Do you want to know what it is? It's not just dirty water. It's rocks, man. It's rocks. And it's pebbles and it's rocks and it's old rotted acorns and it's cigarette butts. I don't care how much clear, crystal clear, happy fucking experience water from your giant ewer you pour into that clear vessel filled with rocks and manure and cigarette butts. You ain't dislodging those rocks. You got to reach in and have the courage to go into that sludge and that manure with your hands and go in and begin to do the deep, dirty work of disgorging the ugly. So you ask the question, how do I, get rid of the crud in my life? How do I begin to be happy? How do I begin to love myself? You got to go in and get an attack, go after those messages inside that are eating you up, all the negative messages that you've been taught to believe about yourself that were lies from the beginning. And that's what my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, is for. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back after this commercial.
I've been doing some real healing work in my life, and I mean hardcore. But I've been craving something new to level up. A friend of mine told me about this badass counselor. I gotta admit, I rolled my eyes. Then I watched a few of his videos, and yes, this is the guy. I went and got his audiobook, Badass Wisdom. Holy shit. Absolute ass-kicking, inspiring, deep, powerful shit, period. If you don't get this book, you're making a huge mistake. So do you got the guts to go big with your self-care? Go to badasscounseling.com, get the book Badass Wisdom now.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
And we are back with a lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show. I've got a question here from Bridges on TikTok. Just found out my live-in boyfriend of 1.5 years, wait for it, has a wife. Wait for it. Do I leave the door open or completely close it? I'm going to just open this one up to the peanut gallery. Everybody gets to help you out with this one, Bridges. I'm going to answer it, but I'm going to let everyone else share a common wisdom on this one. Here's the question again, folks. Bridges is asking a very sincere question on TikTok. Just found out my live-in boyfriend of 1.5 years has a wife. It just jumped on me. Do I leave the door open or completely close it? Rob, you want to weigh in or any thoughts?
I'm sorry. When it's this obvious, I don't feel qualified.
Okay. I've got ABC123 saying leave him with 4 exclamation points. M is saying close the fucking door in all capital letters. All capital letters from Megan saying slam the fucking door. Jess says leave. All right. I've got, oh my God, are you for real? Orson Harris says close that door, slam it. Yin says, Carmen McKee says slam it. All right. Lauren McMullen says, wow, why is that even a question? Vanessa Chateau, kick his lying and deceitful ass out. Brandy McCroskey just exclaims with the mouth agape face. Flowers and Peace says, bail as soon as possible.
Hey, Sven.
What?
Newt Whitty says, reminds me of an episode of Criminal Minds, but don't do that.
Don't do that. That's right. All right. Take the wife to lunch. Someone else says. Take him to the train station. Someone else says. Reference to Yellowstone, the TV show. Mama J says he's a liar and a sneak. He couldn't confront her and won't be there for you. You know what? And that's where I was going to go with the answer. We can have fun and everybody's sort of having fun, but everybody is sort of not having fun. This is serious, Bridges. This is serious. This is your life. And everyone is trying to say it is so crystal clear. And obviously you love him if you're thinking about leaving the door open. But everyone is saying that for us as outsiders, it is so crystal clear because probably a good many of us have all been there, where we've been cheated on. And here's the simple fact of the matter. This person has lied to you every moment of every day for 1.5 years. That's 547.5 days. Every single moment of 547.5 days. I believe my math is right on that. then you believe that there's a chance that they might start telling the truth. Do not trust someone who has a long history of lying to you. Next question. All right.
I'm good here.
Okay, you have one?
I do.
All right, go ahead, Rob.
Sven, on YouTube, Newt Whitty again now has a question. I'm 26, live with my mom. My dad died in '07. I can't ever tell my mom how I'm feeling without being dismissed in some way or her going defensive and protecting herself. But here's the rub, Sven. I have no place else to go and have an agreement that I get the house if I take care of her.
Oh, boy. Well, there's an old saying that they used to say to women who would marry for money. If you marry for money, you're going to earn it. In other words, you're going to have to work for it. You are marrying your mother for money. You are in a marriage with your mother because you want a house. And she is owning you. She fucking owns you. And the thing is, it sounds like you would almost be okay with the taking care of your mother setup. It sounds like that, except you want something more. And what you want is her to hear you and see you and be understood by her emotionally. And she's not willing to give that. She doesn't give two fucks because she knows she has what you want. Not just the house. She has your confirmation of worth in her apron. And she's like, I'm not giving that to you. You want to know why? Because as long as I don't give it to you, I have power over you to extract whatever I want. And the simple truth of the matter is this: until you are willing to let go of getting it from her, getting confirmation of your worth and getting that house, you will never be free of the belief that you don't matter, that you don't have worth. Because that whole ecosystem that you live in, the belief system that is your family, that serves the person at the top of the food chain, which is your mom, she has the power, clearly. That exists. You will never break free of that until you have the courage to let it go. Until you believe in your worth so much that you are willing to let go of the house and your mother's confirmation of worth. And by simply walking away, you are stating your own confirmation of your own worth. And the truth is, if you wanted to, you could create a way to live on your own. People are doing it every day. Is it hard? Fucking hard. You could rent a room. You could find some job. You could go somewhere. But the bottom line is, you are choosing this situation. Let's be really honest. You are choosing this. Now there is a middle option. And the middle option is you stay in this situation for the time being until you can get out physically. But you stop going to her to confirm your worth, to provide what you want in terms of an emotional confirmation of worth. But you still think that you need that from her. And she's not going to give it. So you can make this strictly a transactional relationship. You're going to take care of her in the exchange for you getting the house. But you got to understand, she could fuck you over, dude. Why? She's not giving you anything. You are giving her something right now. You are taking care of her. She's not giving you a goddamn thing. Do you have proof that that house is going to be given to you? No. You have her word. So you've got nothing but this idea, a promise. Does she seem, if I were to ask you the question, what percent do you believe her to be a person of credibility? What percent is she a non-credible person? Because the mere fact that she doesn't want to hear and connect emotionally and understand you and atone for any things that she might have done to hurt you and so forth, what does that say about her own sense of credibility or commitment to you and your best interest? Because it sounds to me like potentially this is someone who would fuck you later if you don't meet her every need and basically shut the fuck up.
It says it's in the will.
It's in the will. Terrific. And the truth is she's got you bent over. You're choosing this, my friend. And I'm not saying it to be a dick, but until you are willing to not have the confirmation of her worth, until you are willing to begin to live your life your way, which means you may not get the house. Can you live without a free house? Until you're willing to do that, in all likelihood, you're going to continue to be who she wants you to be. And that is a big decision. A lot of people making that same decision every day. As ABC123 says on TikTok to you, says, that is a narcissistic mom. So sad. I'm sorry for him. All right. Next question. All right. Here we go. Oh, this is a good one. Kelly Living says, I had a back injury and was sad for 1 month. My girlfriend said, I didn't sign up for this. Should I bail? I would want to ask you this question. I would want to know, how long have you guys been in a relationship? Okay. Is it new? Is it a 6-month relationship or what have you? Kelly Living says, I had a back injury and was sad for 1 month. My girlfriend said, I didn't sign up for this. Should I bail? Well, the mere fact that you're thinking about bailing says that it obviously doesn't feel good that she said that. And I would want to know, what specifically doesn't it feel like, or doesn't feel good, or more specifically, what is the feeling you're feeling? Now, I'm betting the feeling that you're feeling is you are feeling abandoned. You are feeling insignificant. What she is fundamentally conveying in that message, I didn't sign up for this, is I only want you when it's happy. I only want you when it's good. I don't want to deal with your sad shit. Now, I would have to ask the follow-up questions in the interest of clarity of, how did your 1 month sadness manifest itself? Was it taken out on her? How did it act? In other words, she obviously perceived that as some sort of burden or just unpleasant, but in what way did she perceive it as such? However, nonetheless, she's saying, I didn't sign up for this. Now, if that was said in a moment of frustration and feeling overwhelmed, that's one thing. I don't think there's a person alive who hasn't said shit in an argument or on a day of extreme frustration that they don't regret later, or that someone else hears and holds them accountable to, when it's just like, I just had a bad fucking day. I said something. I'm sorry I said it, and I feel horrible and I shouldn't have said it. I mean, I've said some really hurtful shit in my life that I didn't mean and I shouldn't have said. All right. But the question is she seeking atonement for having said it? Or, more importantly, was it a one-off, or was that basically her main point? I didn't sign up for this shit. Nope, I don't like this. I don't like you when you're Mr. Sad and Mopey. I don't give a shit. Because what she's also saying is she didn't have the compassion for your back injury and your sadness. In other words, I don't really care about you when you're hurting. Again, this would be somewhat contingent upon how your sadness and your injury manifests itself. But clearly you are feeling insignificant. So you are with someone. Now, I would have to also ask you the question, how did you discuss this with her? Did you discuss your feelings of insignificance with her? And if you did, and she still made you feel like, hey, I didn't sign up for your fucking problems. No, you don't want to be in a relationship with someone who takes your problems as insignificant. However, if you have not discussed it with her, your feelings, and you're feeling insignificant and made to feel trivial and unimportant to her, that's a problem inside of you now. And the problem inside of you is that you're afraid to discuss your emotional issues with your lover. Problem. But yeah, it sure sounds like, at least prima facie, that she wants a happy relationship and doesn't want to deal with any sort of emotional drag. However, there's got to be more to the story than just these two sentences. But you've got to fill it in for yourself on some of those questions I gave you. Next question. Pumpkin08 asks the question, how do you overcome loving someone you loved for 35 years when you can't stop loving them you don't know? Okay. It's actually simple and it's hard. Okay. And I'm actually going to get to that one in 2 seconds. Kelly Living responded by saying, and Kelly Living was the one who said, geez, I didn't sign up for this shit. Kelly Living got back and said she's the best girlfriend I ever had. She did apologize. All right. So if she did apologize and you believe that she meant her apology, then the problem is not you. The problem is her. The mere fact, as long as you believe that that apology was sincere, and that there has been a change in behavior, that you believe she does take your pain seriously, then what that means is you are still holding pain from that, her saying that inside of you. Your sadness, you're feeling insignificant, you're feeling unloved and unwanted, which means you have to go inside of you. You need to be journaling. You should write her letters that you do not send. Her receiving the letters is not the fucking point. because she's apologized. And if she meant it, then the problem is all these feelings that you have jumbled up and tumbling around inside of you that you've got to flush out, because it's your own feelings that are blocking you. If she has truly atoned, truly owned her shit, then the problem is your feelings, not her actions or her feelings of contrition towards you. You got to get your own fucking feelings out, because that's standing between you and her. And if she is the best girlfriend you ever had and her apology was sincere, then you've got to get these feelings out, because this is blocking you and it's causing you to potentially run, because she said something that was hurtful that she later apologized for. What, you've never done that? I fucking have. Rob, have you ever said shit that you fucking felt bad for later?
Oh, yeah.
Did you apologize?
Certainly.
Exactly. So you start writing some letters, start doing journaling to get all those feelings out so that you can go back to having a good relationship, or possibly having an even better one. All right. Question by Pumpkin08. How do you overcome loving someone you loved for 35 years when you can't stop loving them? You don't know. All right. Bottom line is this. The way we let go of anyone or anything is by holding on tighter. It's counterintuitive. The way to let go is to hold on. What do I mean by that? If you still love someone, let's say you had a breakup. You broke up with them, they broke up with you, whatever it is, but you still love them and you can't let go. What we so try to do is distract ourselves, just keep moving forward. I'm just letting go. We say, I just let go and I'm moving forward. That's just bullshit. You can't just say, I let go, or force yourself, or stay busy, because you're admitting the existence of the love by merely forcing yourself to let go or trying to stay busy. You're admitting its existence, but you're trying to deny it simultaneously. And what I'm saying is, no, admit its existence, go into it rather than away from it. Go into it and start journaling, start writing them letters that you do not send. Pour out all your love, because it's still stored inside of you, even if you're pretending it doesn't exist. Go into it, pour it out, write them letters of love, how much you miss them, you love them, you long for them, you lust for them. How much you miss them. Write out all your favorite memories, because it's all those feelings of love that are keeping you stuck. I had to do this multiple times in my life in relationships. Hell, relationships with places where I miss a place. Relationships with particular family members. All right, where you miss a person and you flush it out, and you go into it and keep going into it and into it and into it, flushing out all those jumble of feelings. And the more you do it, guess what? Your hand begins to naturally open to of this thing that you've been holding on to so tightly. And you begin to feel released from it. And you naturally begin to move on with your life. You find yourself thinking about and feeling this person less and less and less. And the moving on becomes effortless rather than forced. The letting go just happens. It's not, I need to let go. I should let go. I'm letting go now. No, it just happens. We let go by holding on. Next question. Stacy Dawson asks a great follow-up question. Why is journaling better than just spewing it out to a therapist or friend? I love that question so much. I'll tell you why, Stacy. Because journaling forces you to stay in it, and if you do it right, forces you to go deeper. The second I say something to you right now, that sentence I just said right now, where I said the sentence I say something to you right now, that sentence is gone, and I'm going to forget it in about 5 minutes. I'm going to forget it in 3 minutes, especially with my aging brain at my age, all right? But if I write something down, it's there in front of me. And you know what? One of the things is, I have pretty good reflexes and so forth, but my speed of writing with a pen or even typing, I'm a pretty good typer. I cannot type and I cannot move with a pen as fast as I can think. That means if I'm journaling or writing a letter of love to a family member or a lover, I am forced to stay in those feelings longer because I'm writing them out. Furthermore, I see them now in front of me. One of the requirements, in parallel to this idea, one of the requirements I have of all new clients that start counseling with me is they're all required to write an autobiography for me. It can be however long they want. It just cannot go over 10 pages. All right. And one of the things that some people report is, wow, that experience of writing the autobiography was cathartic. I say, why? Well, for some people, it's getting it out of me was cathartic. But some people report seeing it in front of me caused me to really see my life. And it made me feel this, or it made me feel that. There is something about seeing it and writing it that is different from just saying it. Furthermore, I don't know about you, but I know with myself, with a lot of my clients, when they'll talk about, I talk about it with my best friend, that's my therapy. I say, well, then why the fuck are you paying me? Oh, because in our therapy, I force you to go deeper. And what you can do in journaling, this is the other piece of it. The thing you're more inclined to do in journaling, especially if you do it the way I teach it, is to ask the next question of, well, why? Well, what's that about? Well, what was I really thinking? What was I really feeling? Whereas in your conversation with your best friend, do you know how your conversation with your best friend is going to go? He's such a fucking pig, and God, I just can't stand him. And then he said this, and then he said that, and blah, 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 blah. And oh my God, look at my watch. Isn't this the watch nice? I love this fucking watch. I got it, and and blah, 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 blah. Oh, fuck, man, my coffee. I got to have some coffee because my coffee's getting cool. Anyway, this watch, and oh, by the way, I was saying, yeah, he's such a fucking pig, and blah, blah. In other words, we're just scattershot. If that were as effective as going to a therapist, why the fuck would you ever pay a therapist, right? Which is sort of your question. Why? Because it forces you to stay focused. And what I simply tell people is you can do the work of therapy on your own. Save yourself a fuck ton of money. Just get some of the right tools. But it forces you to stay in it. And if you're asking yourself the right questions, when I'm journaling, I'm literally writing my questions on the paper, seeing the question of why, what was going on inside of me, what might have been going on inside of this person, what else was going on, what am I avoiding in this situation, what am I really afraid of? I'll write those questions down, and then I'll force myself to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And those are the exact questions I'm asking people in counseling. And if they don't answer it, I'll say, wait a minute, you didn't answer the question there, because this is what you should be doing in counseling. So it forces you to go deeper. It challenges you to expand the whole story. And and this is deep therapy versus just spewing the latest bullshit to your best friend. Oh, do you know what she did today? She's such a fucking bitch. Oh my God. I want to wring her neck, blah, 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 blah. That's not therapy. That's just jerk off bullshit. All right, next question.
Don't hold back. Say what you really mean.
Okay, I will. Well, Stacy, thank you, Stacy. Stacy writes, LOL, you're right about conversation with a friend. Okay, sounds like you and I have similar friends, Stacy. All right. Okay, Bernice Gallegos asks on Facebook, is it ever a good idea to text someone when prompted after a breakup or journal it out? Depending on where the commas are in that sentence, that could be read a few different ways. Is it ever a good idea to text someone when prompted after a breakup or to journal it out? In all honesty, if you've broken up with a person, the greater distance you have and the less contact you have, apart from, if you have to co-parent together, but even in that case, keep contact to a minimum. Why? It just keeps you in all those feelings and not in a healing way. It keeps you wrapped up in old patterns. I am not a fan of, at all, of, gee, let's be friends right at the end of a relationship. Why? You can't make that transition. You can't turn on a dime like that. 99% of people can't make that transition. If you want to be friends in a year or in 4 years, great, primo, go for it. But that transition is so hard. Why are you responding to texts? You're just going to get looped back into the same old fucking conversations. Do you really think there's been that radical of a transformation in how you two interact just because you've now gotten a divorce or you've now broken up? No. Go to your fucking journaling, flush it out. All right? Next question.
15 years in my case.
Before you became friends?
More friendly, yeah.
Yeah, I think after my first divorce, it was probably 7, 10, something like that, before it really became no big deal sort of thing. Here we go. Angelic 1 says, 50-50 co-parenting with extreme taker. 11-year-old son showing same behaviors. Any advice? Ooh, that's a tough one. You have to understand that your son, children love both of their parents. One of the hardest things to swallow in divorce, especially if you're divorcing from an a-hole, or if you are the a-hole. But one of the hardest things to stomach is that children love both their parents. They do. They want to be loved by both their parents. In this case, what that means is that your son knows how to get love from the other parent. And what's that? Mirroring that other parent's actions. In the case of the other parent, that child has found a survival mechanism, a way to either get approval or to survive. And that is that to show that same extreme taker, what many people call narcissist, what we on the Badass Counseling Show and in my work call an extreme taker. And what you're asking is, any advice? How should I deal with that? What you need to do is be the parent. You are the parent. The real question I would ask you if we were in session is this: what percent do you want? No. What percent do you need your child to like you? 15%? 2%? 44%? 89%? What percent is your sense of confirmation of worth determined by how much that 11-year-old child likes you? And the reason you're like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Because that question is going to determine how you interact with an 11-year-old child who's fundamentally, basically trying to fucking dominate you. A grown ass fucking parent. And if you don't have the balls to be not liked, and I'm not saying you got to be a jerk or a dickhead to your child, but you have to be willing to be unliked. You have to be willing to be unpopular. You have to be willing to stand up and not back down. And that is to hold boundaries and to hold expectations and to hold chores and to follow through on consequences. Because if you don't do that, you will just breed. You will be part of the breeding of an extreme taker. So you've got to answer that question for reals. What percent do you want to be liked by your child? And if that number is high, like above, 15%, then you've got to go inside yourself and you got to say, why am I using my child to meet my needs for a sense of worth? What am I so afraid of? That if my child doesn't like me, I'm a bad parent? Really? Is that the qualification for being a good parent, that my child likes me? Or I'm afraid of my child later turning against me, and so I'm going to give them everything they want now. I don't want to stand up to them, something like that. All right? But that liked is a big question. So if you are willing to stand up to your child and shut them down, then you have to hold strong boundaries, strong expectations, and not back down. So if your child wants to play that game in their life with their other parent, you can't control what happens in that other parent's home. But the second your child walks into this home, you need to know that here are the expectations. This is how life is played in this home. Next question.
Last question.
Last question of the day, folks. All right. Michael O'Donnell asked the question: can you salvage a relationship if you are cheated on and they say they want to work on it? Michael, fascinating word choice, my friend. Salvage. Salvage. Michael, I drive a Honda 2019 Passport. Nothing special. I like it. Why? Because my dad always drove Hondas. We were a Honda family in the 80s. We had 8 family members. I think we had 7 Hondas, something like that. My dad always believed in Hondas. He grew up on the farm. They had a machine shop on the farm. My dad always said they have good engines. They have good bodies, except a little bit of rust around the back wheel cover. And but he always bought Hondas. My dad knew infinitely more about cars than I ever did, so I buy Hondas. You know what? Do you know what's going to happen, Gene, my mechanic, if, let's say, I dented my back quarter panel? Do you know what Gene's going to do? He's going to go to the junkyard, find a old 2019 Honda, salvage, and slap it onto my 2019 Passport. Because I don't give a shit. I don't need to have something fucking new, whatever. Salvage for parts. Can you salvage for parts a relationship if you are cheated on and they say want to work? Can you stitch something together? Sure. Sure, you can salvage. Can you have a great relationship? To use your words, now that was my words. Can you have a great relationship if you are cheated on and they say they want to work on it? Well, I'm going to tell you this, Michael. The answer is this. Can you have a great relationship with someone who has cheated? Yes, you can. If they say they're going to work on it, yes. However, here's the problem, Michael. After someone has cheated, you want to know what usually happens? I'm going to tell you, and this happens about fucking 85% of the time. They're going to tell you, I want to work on it. And a lot of therapists are going to say, hey, they're willing to work on it. Here we are. We're all working on it together. But my question is, why are they working on it now? My question is, why are they in therapy now? Why are they now having all these wonderful conversations with you that you wanted to have? Why are they now all of a sudden having date night? Why now? Why date night? Why now? Why now? Why now? Why not a month ago? Why not 2 years ago? Why not 7 years ago? Why? Because they didn't have to. They didn't give two fucks because they had you bent over the rail and they were porking you up the ass. They didn't have to. They had all the power. But now you have the power. So they are selling. They are selling. And you are about to believe their words. You have no proof whatsoever, even if they are in therapy, or even if they are reading some self-help book, or even if they are changing their behaviors. You have such a limited pattern of behavior. You don't even have a fucking pattern. Even that minor change they've done is little more than a wisp, a promise, a wisp of a promise. But you have an extended period of pattern that they are non-credible. My question to you is, Michael, have you, since you found out that they cheated or since they admitted, and they probably told you, oh, that's everything, have you since found out more details, Michael? Even one more thing or three new things. Have you found out something more since they said, oh, that's everything? Because if you have found out even one more thing that they didn't tell you before, then what you are fundamentally confirming is not only did they have this big lie from before, but they have continued to cover up sin of omission, still a lie. They have continued to lie, which means they are preaching that I want to build a foundation of a new relationship while they are simultaneously lying. You are pretending to create a relationship with someone who is a non-credible source and has proven it to you again. But again, back to my previous question, why are they doing it now? It's not that they want you, Michael. You want to believe that they want you. They've done nothing to prove that they want you. All they've proven so far is they want the perks of you. Do you want to know why? Michael, let me tell you what you are. You are a love source that has been pouring love into their love cup consistently for years. They've done nothing to prove that they actually want you. In other words, doing all those changes to change themselves, to keep you and to make you happy. No, they've been running around. But now when you're like, fuck, I'm out of here, they're like, no, come back. Why? Because they want you to keep pouring love into their love cup. Because for a while, they not only had you, they had some other knucklehead pouring love into their love cup. Wow, how great was that? But now that person's gone, and now they're about to lose you, so they have no one pouring love into their love cup. And the best shot you ever had was getting 50% of their love in return, because the other person was getting the really juicy stuff, the lovey-dovey stuff, and the fucking and whatever else. Although maybe they claim, oh, no, we never had sex. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they did. Now, some people are going to say that relationships, you cannot have a relationship with someone after cheating, that they will cheat again. I say that's not true. There are people who do have relationships after cheating. However, I say a person will cheat again unless two caveats are met. One of the caveats is they will cheat again unless they do the deep work. And unfortunately, most therapists are not skilled in the deep work of what's really going on under cheating. Why? Because it just requires personal experience with cheating. This isn't book shit. I'm sorry. I have a new book coming out on cheating based on my own personal experience of having been cheated on in 2 long-term relationships, having cheated on 1 long-term relationship, and having been the co-cheater in many of other people's long-term relationships. I have firsthand motherfucking experience. And it is always being driven by those core beliefs you were taught to believe about yourself in childhood. Cheating is always driven by core beliefs, just as with a narcissist or an extreme giver. Okay, so the first thing is, if the person is not doing the deep work, they're going to cheat again. If they are doing the deep work, there is hope for the relationship. The second caveat is this. They may not cheat again, but they will. What if we thought of cheating not so much as just cheating, like having an affair with someone, but what if we thought of cheating in terms of engaging in some behavior that has the power to blow up the relationship? So they may not cheat, but they may turn to the bottle. They may not cheat, but they may become an extreme overworker. They may not cheat, but they'll turn to pills or overparenting. They will engage in some behavior, even if it's not cheating, some behavior that has the power to blow up the relationship. Why? How can I know this? Because the original problem has not been solved. The original problem is the core belief system that they were taught to believe about themselves in childhood. If they didn't do the deep work, they're going to engage in some new behavior. Why? Because the problem still exists. This deep pain inside themselves, this belief system that says, I suck. All right, that is the end of this show. Thank you so much for tuning in to this lightning round episode of the Badass Counseling Show. Rob, any final thoughts?
You're a wordsmith, dude. The way you pulled out that word salvage, that was brilliant. You're a linguist.
Hardly.
You're cunning about it, too.
I'm a cunning linguist.
Yeah, fed right into that one.
Yeah, play with that one, folks. All right, this has been delightful, kind of fun, and it's fun to be standing again for these. Gets the old blood going. All right, folks, I hope you are having a blessed day. I know that we are here on the Badass Counseling Show. And wherever you are tuning in from, whether it's down under or up on top, if you are on top, enjoy it. Have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.